I thought I knew my wife. After 6 years of marriage, I believed Diane and I had built something solid. We worked hard, saved money, supported each other through promotions and setbacks. So when she told me she was planning a weekend getaway to a beachfront resort, I felt nothing but excitement. She said she wanted to handle everything, make it special. I trusted her completely. I had no reason not to. But as we drove those 3 hours toward what I thought would be our romantic escape, I noticed something odd. Diane kept her phone glued to her hand, texting and giggling with someone. When I asked who she just said her friends, I brushed it off. I should not have. Before I continue, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe, because what happened next will show you exactly what happens when respect disappears in a marriage. The drive up the coast was beautiful. Palm trees lined the highway, and the ocean stretched endlessly to our left. I had my window down, letting the salt air fill the car. This was exactly what I needed. My job as a software engineer had been brutal lately. 60-hour weeks, endless video calls, debugging code until 2 in the morning. This trip felt like a reward for all that grinding. Diane sat beside me, her fingers dancing across her phone screen. Every few minutes she would smile at something, type furiously, then smile again. I glanced over. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yeah, just coordinating with the girls. They are so excited." "The girls?" "I told you, remember, Madison, Taylor, and Brooklyn are staying at the same resort. What a coincidence, right?" I did not remember her mentioning that, but maybe I had been too buried in work to pay attention. Still, something felt off. Why had she not mentioned this earlier? Why was she being so secretive about her phone? "That is nice," I said, keeping my tone light. "It will be fun to see them." Diane just hummed and went back to texting. We pulled into the resort around 4 in the afternoon. The place was stunning. White buildings with terracotta roofs, tropical gardens everywhere, and a massive infinity pool overlooking the ocean. Valets rushed to take our car. A bellhop grabbed our luggage. I felt like I had stepped into a movie. Inside the lobby, everything gleamed. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, the faint scent of jasmine in the air. I walked up to the reception desk with Diane beside me, pulling out my driver's license. "Checking in," I said to the young woman behind the counter. "Reservation under Thompson." She typed on her computer, her perfectly manicured nails clicking against the keyboard. Then she paused, frowned, typed some more. "I see a reservation for Mrs. Diane Thompson and 3 additional guests," she said slowly. "But I do not see your name listed, sir." I laughed. "That is a mistake. We are married. It is our vacation." The receptionist looked uncomfortable. "Let me double check." More typing, more frowning. "I'm sorry, sir. The reservation shows 4 female guests in 2 adjoining rooms. Your name is not on the booking." I turned to Diane, expecting her to look as confused as I felt. Instead, she was staring at the floor. "Diane, I thought you would just stay in the room with me," she said quietly. The receptionist cleared her throat. "Ma'am, those rooms are booked for 4 people total, 2 per room. There is no additional space." Before I could process what was happening, 3 women came striding through the lobby. I recognized them immediately. Madison, tall and blonde with designer sunglasses perched on her head. Taylor with chestnut hair and a permanent smirk. Brooklyn, quiet and dark-haired, always watching. Diane's inner circle. "Diane," Madison squealed, rushing over to hug her. "Oh my God, we are finally here. Girls' weekend." Taylor and Brooklyn joined the embrace, all 4 of them jumping and laughing like teenagers. I stood there still holding my ID, feeling like I had just stepped into someone else's vacation. Madison noticed me, and her smile faltered for just a second. "Oh, honey, did Diane not tell you this is our trip? We planned this months ago." I looked at my wife. "Diane, what is she talking about?" Diane finally met my eyes. "I needed this, Kevin. I needed time with my friends. You are always working. I deserve a break." "A break from what? From me? Can we not do this here?" She glanced at the receptionist, who was trying very hard to pretend she was not listening. I turned back to the desk. "Do you have any other rooms available?" The receptionist winced. "I'm so sorry, sir. We are completely booked. There's a corporate event this weekend." Every room is occupied. So what am I supposed to do? Diane shifted her weight. Maybe you could find a hotel nearby or just drive home. I will be back Sunday night. The three women giggled. Actually giggled, like this was funny. Something cold settled in my chest. I followed them outside to the pool area, my suitcase still in the lobby. The sun was starting to dip lower, casting everything in golden light. Diane and her friends had already claimed a table at the poolside bar, ordering cocktails like they did not have a care in the world. I approached their table. "Diane, can we talk privately?" She sighed like I was being an inconvenience. "Kevin, why are you making this awkward? Just go find a hotel." "We are married. This is supposed to be our vacation. I needed time with my friends. You're always working, always tired, always busy. I deserve this." "You deserve to lie to me. You told me this was our trip. You said you were planning something special. For us." "Do not make a scene here." Madison leaned back in her chair, her cocktail in hand. "She is right, Kevin. This is girls' time. You should respect that." I looked at Madison, then back at Diane. "I am talking to my wife." Taylor laughed a sharp sound. "Wow, controlling much," Brooklyn added. "No wonder Diane needed a break from you." I felt my jaw tighten. I was not a confrontational person. I had never raised my voice at Diane, never tried to control who she spent time with. But standing there listening to these women mock me while my wife said nothing, something shifted. "Excuse me," I said to Brooklyn. "You heard me," she replied coolly. "Maybe if you were not so needy, Diane would not have to sneak away just to have fun." Sneak away, she lied to me. She told me this was a couple's trip. Madison stood up, positioning herself between me and Diane. "Listen carefully, Kevin. We reserved these rooms for elites only. This weekend is for successful independent women." "Not for, well, whatever you are." Taylor and Brooklyn burst out laughing. Actual, genuine laughter, like I was the punchline to a joke. I looked past Madison to Diane, waiting for her to defend me, to tell her friends they were out of line, to do anything that showed she still saw me as her partner. She looked down at her drink. "I see how it is," I said quietly. I turned and walked away. Behind me I heard Madison say, "Finally, now we can actually have fun." More laughter. I walked straight through the lobby, past the confused receptionist, and out to the parking lot where our car sat. I got in, closed the door, and sat in silence. My hands were shaking, not from anger exactly, from something worse: humiliation, betrayal. The woman I had loved for 6 years had just let her friends call me worthless while she sat there in silence. I pulled out my phone and opened our banking app. We had a joint account where we kept most of our money. I scrolled through the recent transactions, and there it was. A charge from 5 days ago. $2,500 to Ocean Vista Resort. Diane had paid for everything. The rooms, the reservations, probably the bar tabs too. All from our shared money. Money I had contributed to. Money from the bonuses I earned working those 60-hour weeks. I sat there staring at that number, and something clicked in my mind. Ocean Vista Resort. Why did that name sound familiar? Then I remembered. 2 weeks ago I had closed a major software integration deal with a hospitality company. One of their flagship properties was Ocean Vista. I had worked directly with their director of technology, a guy named Martin. We had spent hours on video calls debugging their booking system, upgrading their security protocols. I pulled up Martin's number and called. "Kevin," he answered on the second ring. "What is up, man? Everything good with the system?" "Actually, Martin, I am at Ocean Vista right now. Weird coincidence." "No kidding, you should have told me you were coming. I would have set you up." "That is actually why I'm calling. I have a situation." I explained everything. Not in detail, not about the humiliation or the mockery, just that there had been a mix-up with the booking, and I needed help figuring out my options. Martin was quiet for a moment. "Hold on, let me pull up the reservation." I heard typing. "Okay, I see it. 4 rooms, all under Diane Thompson's name. She is listed as the primary account holder for payment." "Right. But Kevin, the payment came from an account with your name on it too." "Joint account." "Yeah. Then you have equal authority over this reservation. You can modify it, cancel it, whatever you want." I had not thought about that. If I canceled it now, what would happen? Well, they already checked in, so they would lose the deposit. No refund. and it is peak season, so that is the full amount. $2,500. Gone. I thought about Diane's face when she refused to defend me, about Madison's sneer, about the word elites. Martin, do you still have the presidential suite available? The presidential, yeah, actually. Someone canceled yesterday. It is $3,000 for the weekend, though. Pretty steep. I will take it. Seriously. Yeah, can you book it under my name? I will use my personal card. I had a separate account money I had saved from a project bonus last year. I'd been planning to surprise Diane with a new car, but that plan seemed ridiculous now. Done, Martin said. But Kevin, I have to ask, what is going on? Let me ask you something. The reservation my wife made, it includes access to the pool spa restaurants, all of that. Let me check. No, actually. She booked the basic package. Rooms only. All the amenities are add-ons that get charged separately. Can those add-ons be removed from a reservation? If you are the account holder, yes. Do it. Remove everything except the basic room access. Martin hesitated. Kevin, that's going to make for a pretty miserable weekend for them. I know. All right, it is done. Anything else? One more thing. I need to freeze the joint account. Can I do that? You would need to call your bank, but if both names are on it and you suspect fraud, yeah, they will let you freeze it temporarily. I called the bank next, explained that I had noticed unusual charges and wanted to temporarily restrict the account while I investigated. They put an immediate hold on it. Then, I checked into the presidential suite. The suite was on the top floor, accessible only by a private elevator. When the doors opened, I stepped into a space that looked like something from a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. A living room with white leather furniture. A bedroom with a bed the size of my first apartment. A bathroom with a rainfall shower and a jacuzzi tub. Martin had also upgraded me to include everything. Spa access, unlimited dining, a private yacht tour the next morning, even a bottle of champagne chilling on the balcony. I walked out onto that balcony, looked down at the pool far below, and saw 4 tiny figures sitting at the bar. My phone buzzed. Diane. Where are you? I did not answer. She called again. I declined it. Down at the pool, I watched one of the small figures stand up and start gesturing. That would be Diane panicking. My phone buzzed again. A text this time. Kevin, please answer. We need to talk. I poured myself a glass of champagne and sat down on the balcony chair. Another buzz. Your card was declined. The joint account is not working. What did you do? I smiled. 15 minutes later, my phone rang. The front desk. Mr. Thompson, I have your wife here. She is requesting to come up to your suite. Tell her I am not available. She is quite insistent, sir. I understand. The answer is still no. I hung up and blocked Diane's number. For the next 2 hours, I sat on that balcony watching the sunset turn the ocean from blue to gold to deep purple. I ordered room service, filet mignon, lobster tail, a side of truffle fries. It arrived on a cart with actual silver covers over the plates. I ate slowly, savoring every bite. Around 9 o'clock, there was a knock at my door. I checked the peephole. Diane. I opened it. She looked terrible. Her hair was messy, her makeup smudged. She had been crying. What did you do? She demanded. I adjusted our vacation. You wanted time with your friends. You have it. Your room is still available. We cannot do anything. No pool access, no spa, no restaurant reservations. The bar will not even let us charge drinks to the room. My card was declined and the joint account is frozen. You can still use your room. That is what you booked, right? A place to sleep. Kevin, this is insane. My friends are furious. Your friends called me worthless. They said I was not elite enough to be here. They laughed at me. And you sat there and let them. I was going to talk to them later. Were you, or were you just going to enjoy your girl's weekend while I drove home alone, humiliated? She tried a different approach, softened her voice. Please, this is so embarrassing. They are my best friends. Best friends who have no respect for your husband. Best friends who you value more than your marriage. That is not fair. What is not fair, Diane, is lying to me. What is not fair is using our money to plan a trip and deliberately excluding me. What is not fair is letting people mock me while you stay silent. So this is revenge. You are going to ruin the whole weekend. I am not ruining anything. You can still stay here? You just have to pay for your own entertainment. I thought elites would have no problem with that. Her face went red. You are being cruel. No, I'm being done. I closed the door. She pounded on it for a while, yelling through the wood about how immature I was being, how I was making everything worse, how she would never forgive me for this. Eventually, she gave up. I went back to the balcony and opened another bottle of champagne. The next morning I woke up to sunlight streaming through those massive windows. For a moment I forgot where I was. Then it all came back. I checked my phone. 17 missed calls from Diane, dozens of texts. I deleted them without reading. At 9, a knock at the door. Room service with breakfast, fresh fruit, Belgian waffles, eggs, Benedict coffee that tasted like heaven. At 10, another knock, a woman in a white uniform. Mr. Thompson, I'm here for your spa appointment. Martin had scheduled me a full morning at the resort spa. Massage facial, something called a seaweed wrap that sounded weird but felt amazing. I spent 3 hours in that spa feeling tension I did not even know I was carrying melt away. At 1 I was back in the suite when my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Kevin, this is Madison. I almost hung up, but curiosity got the better of me. What do you want? Look, I think we got off on the wrong foot yesterday. You called me worthless. I was joking. You are too sensitive. Is there a point to this call? Diane is really upset. She is crying in the room. Taylor and Brooklyn are angry because none of us can afford to pay for everything here. It is insanely expensive. We thought it was all included. Not my problem. Come on, do not be petty. Just unlock the account so we can enjoy the weekend. Petty. You want to talk about petty? You mocked me in front of my wife. You laughed when I was humiliated. You told me I was not good enough to be here, and now you want me to pay for your weekend. We were just having fun. No, you were being cruel. There is a difference. Fine, whatever. But Diane is your wife. You are hurting her. Diane hurt me first. She chose you over me. She lied to me. She brought me here just to exclude me. So no, Madison, I am not unlocking anything. You can all figure it out yourselves. I hung up. 2 hours later, the yacht tour, just me, the captain, and the open ocean. We sailed for 3 hours, saw dolphins, drank mojitos, ate fresh ceviche. It was the most peaceful I had felt in months. When I got back to the resort, I saw Diane and her friends sitting in the lobby. They looked miserable. No pool, no drinks, no fancy dinners. Just sitting there staring at their phones, probably trying to figure out how to salvage the trip. I walked past them to the elevator. Diane saw me. Kevin. I kept walking. Kevin, please. The elevator doors closed. That night I had dinner at the resort's 5-star restaurant. Sushi, steak, wine, the works. I sat alone at a table by the window watching the waves crash against the shore, and I felt something I had not felt in a long time. Free. Sunday morning I checked out early. I did not say goodbye to Diane. I just got in the car and drove home. When I arrived at our house, I went straight to the bedroom and started packing. Clothes, toiletries, my laptop, some books. I filled 2 suitcases and loaded them into the car. Then I sat down and wrote a note. Diane, I'm staying at a hotel for a while. We need space. I do not know if we can fix this. I do not know if I want to. You chose your friends over me. You let them disrespect me. You lied and manipulated me. That is not a marriage. That is not love. I deserve better. I hope you figure out what you really want. Kevin. I left the note on the kitchen counter and drove to a hotel near my office. Diane came home that night and called me immediately. I did not answer. She left voicemails, long rambling ones where she cried and apologized and begged me to come home. But some things once broken cannot be fixed. 2 weeks later, I met with a lawyer. Filed for divorce. Diane contested it. At first tried to say I was being irrational, that I was blowing things out of proportion, but I was not. She had shown me who she was, who she chose to be, and I had finally seen it clearly. The divorce took 6 months to finalize. We split everything 50-50. The house, the savings, even the car I had planned to surprise her with. She moved in with Madison temporarily. I heard through mutual friends that the friendship did not last long. Turns out when money gets tight and blame starts flying, elite friendships crumble pretty fast. I moved into a new apartment, smaller than the house, but mine. I painted the walls the colors I liked. I bought furniture that made me happy. I started going to the gym, picked up hobbies I had abandoned, reconnected with friends I had neglected. 6 months after the divorce was final, I got a promotion at work. Then another one. Turns out when you are not spending all your energy trying to fix a broken marriage, you have a lot more to give to the things that actually matter. I dated a little. Nothing serious? I was not ready for that yet. But I learned something important. I learned what respect looks like, what partnership looks like, what it feels like when someone chooses you not as a backup plan or a convenience, but as a priority. Diane reached out a few times, emails mostly, saying she made a mistake, saying she understood now how badly she had hurt me, saying she wanted another chance. I never responded, not out of anger, not anymore, but because I had moved on. I had found peace. I had found myself again, and that was worth more than any apology. Looking back now, I do not regret how I handled that weekend. Some people might say I was harsh, that I should have been the bigger person. But I had been the bigger person for years. I had accommodated, compromised, forgiven. And where did it get me? Standing alone in a resort lobby while my wife and her friends laughed at me. No. I did exactly what I needed to do. I respected myself enough to walk away. I valued myself enough to demand better. And in the end, that is what saved me. I thought love meant accepting everything. I was wrong. Real love requires respect. And some people will never learn that until they lose what they took for granted. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between keeping the peace and standing up for yourself? How did you handle it? Drop your answer in the comments below, because I would love to hear your stories. If this resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for watching, and remember, you teach people how to treat you. Make sure the lesson is worth learning. Take care of yourselves out there.